welcome to today's episode of Metamorphosis with Toby. And again, it is another episode on the health series. Thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time, kindly share, subscribe, send to your friends, loved ones, everyone. Drop your comments, questions, and we will be sure to get back to you. Thank you so much for another opportunity to have another episode recorded. It is always a pleasure. And so today we will be talking on, I don't want to say something important, I know that's what we always do here, but today we will be talking on sexual transmitted diseases or sexually transmitted diseases or sexually transmitted infections, STIs, STDs. So that's what we'll be talking on today. And so before I go on, as you know, I always have somebody here with me. And so today I have someone with me that is a dedicated public health candidate, experienced in collecting data, writing authoritative reports, and she's proficient in, like I said, data collection and analysis, and her research interest in infectious diseases, maternal and child health, and comorbidities. So she is fastidious and resilient and with excellent critical thinking skills. I think that's really important. And she does have a desire to contribute expertise to developing and implementing a public health solution. So today I have with me someone who does a whole lot of things. Yeah, she's also into spoken words. She does spoken words. I have with me 𝐒𝐲𝐬𝐬. Thank you for coming, Oge.
Thank you, Toby. It's so nice to be on board. I am really happy to be and I'm really excited about this topic we're going to be discussing together. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you so much for agreeing to come teach us, to come bring awareness, because on here what we do, especially on our health series, is bringing education, health education, sexual education closer to everybody. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. That's a wonderful initiative. I have to give you kudos because this is great. I mean, a lot of people need to hear these things. A lot of people need to know about these things. So yes, this is wonderful. This is a wonderful platform. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So I know I've been looked at things you do. Like I said, you do spoken words. That's really awesome, because I tried it some time ago. I know I don't think it's for everybody though. So well done on that. And I hope that sooner than later you come give us do a rendition on spoken words for us here.
Oh,
we'll be glad to have you.
Thank you so much. Hopefully.
All right. Yeah. Also, I didn't know that you have done something with the women's program with Aid Atlanta.
Oh yeah.
You did work as a women's program specialist. How was that?
Oh, it was a wonderful experience. I mean, I got to work with women. I got to work with women who have HIV, I mean, and also women who actually did not have HIV. So basically, I helped enlighten them about the do's and the don'ts. And we also helped with resources. We reached out to communities where we held outreaches. We got to talk to women in these communities about HIV, what they need to know, what they don't need, and yeah, basically it was more like a community outreach. So it was great.
Awesome. Thank you. Oh, good job. Well done on all that you do, and for bringing awareness and all of this to everybody around. Thank you. And so today, like I said earlier, we'll be talking on sexually transmitted infections, STIs, STDs, whatever you want to call it. And interestingly, I found that for short, STIs they continue to be a major public health concern globally, not just in the United States. And according to World Health Organization, there are an estimated 376 million new cases of STIs each year. And I think I did find that some of the the current trends in STI include an increase in the number of cases of syphilis,
Yeah.
gonorrhea worldwide, and an ongoing high burden of HIV,
Yeah.
the emergence of new forms of STIs such as the mycoplasma, I think it's called mycoplasma genitalium,
Yeah.
a growing concern about how do I put it? A growing concern about the impact of STIs on vulnerable population, particularly men, such as men who have sex with men, and also among young people. And overall, there is a need for an increased investment in STI prevention, treatment,
That's
um,
true.
as well as more effective, innovative approaches to addressing this problem, addressing this menace. And so today, we would like you to start with us by telling us what STIs are, or what STDs are. STIs, STD. What exactly are they?
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Sylvie. I'd like to start off with what STIs are. Now, STIs are infections that are passed from one person to another person as a result of a sexual act. And usually, contact is through vaginal, anal, or oral sex. And there is also mother to child transmission, which is a form of congenital infection.
Mhm.
And it's such a big deal because WHO actually estimated 1 million persons getting infected every day with four of
Wow.
these curable STIs,
Mm.
which are chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis, and
Yes.
trichomoniasis. And the most commonly diagnosed from these four is actually chlamydia, especially in high income countries like Canada and the United States.
Mm. Okay.
Yes. So basically, the problem with having this infection is if it goes untreated, it could lead to severe complications. For example, if chlamydia goes untreated, it can lead to arthritis in both
Oh,
sexes.
really?
Yes, it does. Like, these are the things a lot of people might not really realize. It might lead to arthritis in both sexes. It can also lead to infertility. I mean, it could lead to pelvic inflammatory disease and even mother to child transmission, which I think is even more sensitive because it affects the newborns and it could lead to pneumonia or conjunctivitis in the newborn. Now, this is the shocker. The shocker is, especially for chlamydia, people who have chlamydia have a higher susceptibility to HIV.
Oh.
Yeah, so basically, what chlamydia does is people who have chlamydia have HIV target cells multiplied in their genital tract, and it also amplifies HIV shedding. Basically, what it means is, normally how the HIV virus likes to bind to a particular cell.
Mm-hmm.
Now, people who have chlamydia have an increased number of that HIV target cells in their genital tract. And normally how HIV likes moving from one cell to another, like if it infects one cell, it moves to infect the other cell. That process is faster if a person has come down with a chlamydia infection.
A chlamydia infection. Mm.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for letting us know some of these things that we do not know. Naturally, when I personally think about forms of sexually transmitted diseases, I don't think, maybe I haven't read enough, but I don't think that I would think about it in or relating to some of the things that you just mentioned. And so now that we know what these STIs or STDs are, what are the symptoms to look out for?
Okay, so basically, there are common symptoms of STIs, symptoms that most people are familiar with, like itching in the vagina or the penis. You can see warts or skin growths appearing in the genitals, painful peeing, abnormal discharge or smelly discharge. Now, these are common symptoms you see for STI, but there are also specific symptoms for particular sexually transmitted infections. For example, we have gonorrhea. Now, gonorrhea is usually characterized with painful urination and abnormal discharge. We have syphilis. Syphilis has 3 stages. So the
Mm.
first stage of syphilis is usually a painless sore, and the second stage is a rash, which usually resolves on its own. And I think that's also one of the reasons why people do not know they have STIs. Some STIs can be very silent and quiet, and if you don't realize it, you probably just let it go untreated. Now, like syphilis, for example, that has 3 stages. The third stage is what is actually fatal. The third stage usually occurs like a year after the second stage, and it leads to brain damage. It even leads to nerve and eye
Wow,
damage. So it's pretty serious
that's
actually
serious.
if it goes untreated. Yes.
We touch on the types of sexually transmitted
Okay.
infections that we have.
Okay. So there are so many sexually transmitted infections. I'll just like to group them into bacterial STIs and viral STIs.
Okay.
Examples of bacterial STIs are chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis, bacterial vaginosis. Examples of viral STIs are, we all know, HIV, HPV, hepatitis B. We also have genital herpes. Now, most of these STIs are curable. Most of them are curable, but there are also some that do not exactly follow the conventional course of treatment. For
Okay.
example, HIV. Now, HIV has no cure, and it's painful, but that's the truth. HIV has no cure, but it also doesn't mean HIV cannot be managed. It also doesn't mean anyone who has HIV cannot live a healthy and a
Okay.
long life. HIV has medicine that people can take. Yeah, you can take medicine if you have HIV, and basically this medicine help reduce your viral load to a point where you become undetectable. Yeah.
Mm.
So it also means you cannot transmit or transfer the infection to
Uh,
another person at that state. So yes, it can be managed too. But other STIs, basically, you just take drugs and you're okay.
yeah, they are treated, they are cleared up. I know that we'll still talk about HIV, prevention, treatment, or maybe I will just wait because it just popped in my head when you talked about HIV not having a cure. I guess I'll just wait for this. I was going to say something about PrEP.
Oh yeah, sure. We
Yes,
could
so
we could talk about
we'll
HIV
get
now. I mean,
yes. Okay, I guess we would get there. It's just interesting.
okay,
I really want to talk about PrEP because I
okay.
feel like most people do not know about it, or sometimes it's like a stigma around it where you say you want to get PrEP and they're like, oh, do you have HIV? Or do you have to have HIV to get it? And all
Mm-hmm.
of that. So I think we would get there
Yeah,
pretty
we'll
soon.
definitely talk about it. Yes.
Yes, I know we did say we also did mention about WHO and this ST has been a public health concern
Mm-hmm.
worldwide, everywhere among young people, among vulnerable individuals, among people, populations, among people, say for instance, men having sex with men, and all
Mm-hmm.
of that. So I would like you to touch on the prevalence of STIs.
Okay, so far, right now, um, we know that STI tends to occur more in younger females than
Okay.
males, and we also know that about 1 in 5 people have STI in the United States, which means there are about 68 million infections circulating in the United States.
Mhm.
Yeah, and about nearly half of the population of people who have STIs, about 46% of people who have STIs, this population is usually found in the younger adults from ages 15 to 24.
Okay.
Yes, and a lot of money is also channeled into STI treatments. I mean, in 2018, the United States recorded about 16 billion US dollars that was actually used to treat STIs.
Used for treatment.
Yes, and you know the funny thing, this brings us to prevention. I mean, if prevention was really efficient, like if prevention could really be done effectively, it could help reduce the rates of sexually transmitted infections, and at the same time lessen the amount of money that the government channels into STI treatment. I mean, why treat when you can prevent,
You
really?
can prevent.
Yes.
I think that would lead us to our talk, or be a guide into our my next question on the role of public health, because I know that one thing public health does is prevention. That's like one of the things we do as public health specialists, advocates, and all of that. But just go ahead. You can go ahead before we jump
Okay.
in.
Great. So, public health interventions for STI. I believe the United States has really done a whole lot.
Okay.
One thing I think I really love about the interventions that has been created is the screening programs. Now, it's advisable that anyone who is sexually active and anyone who has multiple partners should always have a routine STI checkup to prevent transmission from to other people. I mean, and there are various kinds of screenings. I think we have a syphilis, a standard syphilis screening. We also have outreach testings, and most time in all these outreaches, they test for a wide range of STIs, and it's usually free. So basically, the only thing stopping you is moving your feet to the outreach center to get tested. These things are free. And also, why I also advocate for screening programs is because um, it's very, very useful, especially in communities that have recorded high incidence of STIs. For example, I stay in Georgia,
Okay.
and imagine if there's a community that has recorded high cases of HIV or high cases of chlamydia. Most times, these communities need to have screening programs. They need to have programs where they could actually check the people there. They need to go back to the drawing board and make changes. They need to think about the population of that group. They need to think about the resources that are available to the people there, so they could help cause a decline in the rates, in the STI rates for that community. So screening program really helps. It really, really helps. A second public health intervention, which is health education. Now, there are so many people living their lives. I mean, walking on the streets, driving their cars without really knowing what STIs are or the do's and don'ts of STIs. And I really believe if public health educators could target younger people, maybe in schools or in institutions, and teach them about STIs, teach them about what they need to know about this. I mean, the use of condoms, tell them about the resources available to them. I believe STI rates will decline tremendously. Honestly, I just really hope a lot of people look into this, because I know that most non-profits and most testing centers actually have free swab, and usually their swab comprises condoms, different condom packs for young adults. I mean, everything is available, the resources are there, it's just for us to accept the help. Yeah. Then the
Yes, thank
last.
you. Yeah, sorry. Before you go on, I want to say something. You say that you mentioned health education. Everyone needs to be educated, every form of education, and that's one of the reasons why we are doing our health series, just to get. So I know that you did mention something about health education, and I just wanted to quickly say something before you go to the next thing you were going to talk about, is the cultural differences. I think when it comes to teaching, especially sex education, like maybe our African culture or parental perspectives. And so I just wanted to chip in that one of the reasons why we're having this kind of series as well is because so many of us didn't learn a lot on sexual education from home or
Yeah.
from our parents, because we know cultural differences, individual preferences, parental differences, and all. So I just wanted to say that sometimes I think that public health educators might be doing their a lot, but I think maybe it's really going on fine here in the United States. I really don't know much about in Nigeria though.
Okay. So in Nigeria, I think I remember in my secondary school in Nigeria, I remember some people coming around. I believe they were counselors. It's been a while, but I think they came around and they actually spoke to us about these things. Now, the truth is, a lot of people run away from this, especially kids. Like, they don't want to hear about it. They don't want to talk.
Yeah, even mere mentioning the word sex,
Yes.
like it's so stigmatized. It's like we don't want to talk about sex. But you are a sinner once you talk about sex.
Which is not supposed to be. I mean, we should have an environment that is open to younger people talking about these things. I mean, it's actually better to tell them about these things so they won't run into trouble in the future. So we should create an environment that is welcoming, that is more accepting, so people can talk about these things without any form of bias or without any form of fear.
So seeing that you have worked with people with, would I say HIV or AIDS, particularly having worked as women's program specialist that you have done, I would like you to touch on HIV. And because you did mention HIV as a viral form of STI, I would like you to talk to us on HIV, the prevention, the treatment, and all.
Okay, so basically, I'll just do a rundown. Now, HIV, I believe a lot of people know this. HIV means human immunodeficiency virus. And if it goes untreated, it leads to AIDS. And AIDS is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. Now, HIV is contracted through sexual intercourse, through on-screen blood transfusion, also through infected needle exchange. But the most common way of contracting HIV is actually through sex from an infected person or with an infected person. And HIV is a virus that infects humans and weakens the immune system. And a lot of people say things like, oh, HIV doesn't really kill the person, or HIV doesn't really do this. The truth is, what HIV really does is that HIV weakens your immune system and leaves you vulnerable to other diseases. That's why you notice people who have HIV can easily be infected with maybe tuberculosis or other bacterial diseases. So HIV basically just compromises your immune system and leaves you open and vulnerable to other infectious diseases. Now, the good thing about this is that HIV can be managed. I think this is where a lot of people miss it. Just because a person has HIV doesn't mean the person is going to die. In fact, the person is not going to die because HIV can be managed, and HIV has several medicines that people who are infected can take and still live a long and healthy life. Now, it's just that these medicines, you have to take it on consistently and on a regular basis. But yes, it's possible. And most times when people take this medicine, the aim of taking this medicine is to try and reduce the viral load in your system to a point where it becomes undetectable, which means to a point where your body cannot detect the virus. It's that minimal. It's now that really, it becomes very small. And it also means you cannot transfer or transmit it to another person, right? And with this, really, you can live a long, healthy life. You can do your sports, you can jog, you can play soccer, you can, live a pretty good life.
Do all you want to do.
Yes, just take your medicine. And there's also a part of HIV care that I would like to, a component of HIV care that I would like to talk about, which is PrEP.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Like you mentioned earlier. Now, PrEP means pre-exposure prophylaxis. And a lot of people might not really know about this, but let me just explain it in.
I think a lot of us didn't know before. I just started knowing, I guess, because of my work, my research and all.
Yeah, so basically what it means is, for example, if you have a partner who is HIV positive and you are HIV negative, it's advisable for the person who is HIV negative to take PrEP. So during sex or during a sexual intercourse, it means the HIV positive person cannot transmit the infection to you. Yes, that's basically what PrEP does. It just prevents the HIV negative person from contracting the virus or having a HIV infection. Yes, and most times PrEP is taken daily. PrEP is taken daily, and it's also advisable that you should be very consistent when you're taking PrEP. Don't go off it. The way we go off meds, like when you don't feel like, you don't take it. Take it consistently.
When I feel like I'm okay, I'm good. That's all.
Exactly. So you take it consistently to make sure you get an effective, or so just make sure that the function of the drug is efficient, basically. And something about HIV or managing HIV, there's a branch or there's a particular service most STI or most public health programs offer. It's called case management.
Okay.
Yeah, so case management is a service that helps manage HIV patients. It's actually very holistic because it encompasses things like behavioral counseling, making sure they take their medicine. I mean, the aim of all these things is to actually reduce their viral load so that they become undetectable. So your case manager basically takes care of you, makes sure that you are taking your drugs, make sure that you are having your appointments regularly, and helping you with any kind of mental health problem that you have, or referring you to a mental health specialist if you need that. So it's a very, very sensitive and important arm of the HIV
And
care.
so if you're just joining us, we're still talking about sexually transmitted infections, and we have with us Oge, who's telling us, teaching us, bringing awareness to this topic, sexually transmitted infections. And from what she has said, we've gotten to know that there's the bacterial type, there's the viral type. The bacterial type, we have chlamydia, we have syphilis, gonorrhea, if I'm not mistaken. Those are examples. We also have the viral, where we have the human papilloma virus, that's the HPV. We have HIV, we have hepatitis B, and so on. And so I've been able to talk about the prevalence, the need to get yourself screened, the need to get yourself aware. If you are sexually active, she did say that you go on a routine STI screening, and which will help you get just help you know your stance. And also you did also talk about HIV a whole lot more. HIV prevention, things you can take. You did mention PrEP. These are things that you can take to stay healthy. If you know someone or are someone living with HIV, it doesn't mean the end of the world.
Yeah.
And we should really stop stigmatizing when we hear things around sexually transmitted diseases or HIV and so on. So I would like to ask if there's any other thing you would like to add to all of this that we have been talking about.
Okay, well, yes, I would like to just reemphasize this, that HIV, having or living with HIV doesn't mean that's the end of the world, really. Like, you can live a normal, healthy life with HIV. And for STI infections, please, especially if you have multiple partners, please always have a routine checkup, a routine STI checkup. Then, particularly for HPV, HPV is the human papilloma virus. Now, there are some cases of HPV that progresses to cervical cancer in women. Not
Mhm.
all cases progress to cervical cancer, but it's advisable that women get vaccinated. The HPV vaccine is available, especially for, it's usually very expensive, but I think the basic insurance covers it.
Yeah,
And
it covers it does. So I think our basic insurance covers it does cover preventive care, especially for women. So
yes, so you can get it in pharmacies, even public health centers may even administer the vaccine to you. So it's imperative that you get your HPV vaccine.
all right, thank you so much, Ogechuku. Thank you
Thank
for
you
saying
so
this, and
much, Toby.
thank you for going on to talk about HPV. And so this is a reminder: if you have not seen our episode, if you have not watched or listened to the episode on cervical cancer, I think this is your cue to talk about it, because these are more like the aligned and joined. It's like a progression. Yes, we did put out an episode of cervical cancer where we emphasized getting your HPV vaccine. Either being a woman, yes, if you're a woman, yes, it's really important. If you're a man, it is actually also important to get
tell them, yes.
HPV vaccine. Yes, let's stop the stigma and thinking because we talk about cervical cancer that it's only women that should get the HPV vaccine. Men too should get HPV vaccine. And also remember, we should stop stigmatizing. Share this video to your friends. Let your children watch. Your friends, your brothers, your sisters, everybody. Let every one of us be aware about our sexual education, about our health. And you know that we do not leave at the end of every episode, we always come with a quote. And today we have a quote from the Hawaii Youth Services Network, and it says that if we want our youth to grow up safe, healthy, and ready to be successful, and ready to succeed, then all youth need the knowledge and skills to take healthy decisions about sexual health. I will take that again. If we want our youth to grow up safe, healthy, and ready to succeed, then all youth need the knowledge and skills to take or make healthy decisions around sexual health. Everyone, let's talk about our sexual health. It shouldn't be something that we are shy about, or we shy away from, or we stigmatize people when they talk about sexual health. And also remember, you can get vaccines like PrEP and all to prevent HIV, to prevent you from contracting HIV. And people who have HIV, it's not the end of the road. Go ahead. I didn't hear that.
Yes, I was just going to chip in. Yes, you should take PrEP if you have a sexual partner that is HIV positive. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for listening. Remember to share, like, subscribe, drop your comments, drop your questions. If you are watching the video version, thank you for joining. If you are listening either on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, whatever platform, Spotify podcast, thank you for always coming back, and enjoy the rest of your time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.